Blog Talk Radio.
NewMediaCentral.net. NewMediaCentral.net.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Boys and girls.
It's Lil B Jizzle, homeboy.
Call it Park Music.
Call it Park Chopper City.
And I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and motherfucking tired. All these pussy ass
I
niggas.
see these heart beating. I know what's happening with them. We're gonna do it like this, yo.
You are listening to Unpopular Popularity here on NewMediaCentral.net.
In the club, showing love. In the trap, ride 22 studs. In the street, with the beef. With they bitch still talking about me.
Andrew Powell.
In the leg, in the hood, still getting their
Kelvin Gravely Jr. And sitting there once again for John Stutsman, Bryden Proctor.
I'm blasting niggas out like a shot at good. Y'all ain't missing my kid like go right here. Pussy niggas wanna grill, let the party. You gon' fuck around and make them have to kill somebody. Oh boy, I make them beam like Scotty. Got the hot emotion niggas big my little body. In the Chevy getting ready, bumpin' Nelly. When you come up, if you dumb up, you'll find I ain't jolly. Oh shit, get your wig split, bitch. Keep running like you rich, find your ass in the ditch. Fuck around, cause it just might hit a glitch. When the 12 hit the scene, won't nobody say shit. I'm meaner than a motherfucking poodle mix spit. With a damn bunch of wow, how mean can you get? And boy, you niggas in the hood getting slick. Kiss my ass cause I live just to make y'all sick.
What's your heart beating for? What's your heart beating for, huh?
In the club, showing love. In the trap, ride 22 studs. In the street, with the beef. With they big still talking about me. In the back, in the leg. In the hood, still getting their ass jacked. Getting to it, in the hood. Talking bad, but it's still all good.
So before we get into the show, to the regular stuff, there is something that I want to talk about before we get into everything else. As far as the whole Russia thing, we got 2 interviews for you later on in the show. But I was watching a bunch of content today about the city of Chicago. And if you know me, the reason why I wanted that song to play like that is because if you know me, you know that my music of choice is hip-hop, rap music, or the old stuff. I can't really get into the new stuff because it's pure garbage to me. But I'm a big hip-hop head. And I have a view on the black community that a lot of you, some of you applaud me for, a lot of you don't applaud me for. And what I'm trying to do is I want to help out the black community. I truly do. I truly want to make the black community great. I absolutely want to do that. But we are not going to do that when we lie and when we sugarcoat and when we blame everything on the big bad white. Nothing is going to be done. Nothing positive will be done from that. Black people need to learn to take personal responsibility as far as the whole community is concerned. Absolutely. When you listen to a lot of these songs, like the song that just played, what did you hear? You heard a lot of talk about violence, drug use, this and that. Hey, he's got a gun. They got beef in the street. This is what we hear from a lot of rap music, from a lot of hip-hop music, and it's picked from the black community. And what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to tell all of you African-American ladies and gentlemen is that we need to start taking personal responsibility. The white man is not making you picking up a gun and shoot 50% of the population or being responsible for 50% of the murder rate. We have to take personal responsibility. We cannot sugarcoat and lie like Black Lives Matter, who continues to push a false narrative when a lot of the... And me and Kelvin, and I'll give Kelvin an opportunity to defend himself here in a minute, but we were having a debate earlier about Black Lives Matter, and he was telling me about how all the police officers, nothing is happening, justice isn't being served, they're getting sent home, paid vacations, and it's not the truth. It's the furthest thing from the truth. A lot of these cops are getting fired. A lot of these cops are even getting charged. There was a recent woman, the white woman in Texas, I can't even remember her name, who was a police officer. Manslaughter. She got a manslaughter charge. She got fired. I mean, I don't understand when we're talking about that justice is not being served. And by the way, I don't even know if that woman should have necessarily been charged with manslaughter, because if you look at the video, the black individual was putting his hand in his pants. Why was he putting his hand in his pants? Why would you do that? Yes, he did not have a gun on him. I give you that. But why are you reaching? There's no purpose in that. So I want people to realize that we have to take personal responsibility. I mean, getting back to Chicago, though, when I brought it up earlier, getting back to Chicago, I was watching a bunch of content today on YouTube, documentaries and stuff about the city of Chicago and all this crime and all of this mass murder. And it's like a war zone, a literal war zone. There was a joke on a particular post I put up on Facebook today, and the caption had read, "This is why they call it Chirac," because it's literally like a war zone. This is one video in particular, and it's about 2 minutes and 25 seconds long. And I want you to listen to the consistent shooting going on in this city nightly. 11 people died last weekend. I'm waiting for the reports on Monday to see how many people died this weekend in Chicago, in black communities. Listen to the consistent shooting going on in this city. I mean, this just continues. It just continues. This constant shot after shot after shot. People being slaughtered. This is what is going on in the United States of America right now, ladies and gentlemen. This is what is going on. And I don't want to sit here and be like a lot of these leftists and say that, oh my God, police are killing black people. Black oppression is going on, because I got to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen. Black oppression and police brutality is pure 100% bullshit. It's bullshit. It's factually not accurate. And a lot of you people are making the mistake of not taking it by a case-by-case basis. Black people are not just being oppressed around here for no reason. That's not, you hear that video? That's going on in black neighborhoods. Black people shooting other black people. I truly want to help out the black community. And what we need to do is there needs to be some personal responsibility taken within the black community. We have to stop killing each other. Not we, because I'm white, but you know what I mean. We have to stop doing that. Just stop. But when it's consistent gunshots like that in the city, and it's not even Chicago, it's going on in Detroit, it's going on in Houston, it's going on in St. Louis, it's going on in L.A. The cities continue, Miami-Dade County. I lived in Miami for a couple of years. I still go down to Miami. I know what happens down there. There's a crap load of black-on-black crime. But introducing our host tonight, or my co-host tonight, is Kelvin Gravely, the liberal himself, the black liberal himself. He will have an opportunity to defend himself, and also joining us, sitting in for John Stutsman, is Bryden Proctor. You can check out his show, Right to Bryden, on newmediascience.net. Let me start with you, Bryden. With everything that I said regarding the black community, they need to take personal responsibility instead of blaming Whitey for everything. We have to stop killing each other like this before we go to Chicago. What do you make of all of my opening statements?
I mean, obviously there is some incidents of police brutality, but that's why it has to, go to a case-by-case basis. But, yeah, Chicago is actually a worse case than the other cities that you named. Chicago's kind of a rare beast in its own, and it's kind of what you get when you get a lot of kind of poor minorities in one area. I mean, there's not that many white people there. The city's only like 30-something% white, and the rest are, blacks and Hispanics. And a lot of the Hispanics are illegal. So, these are people that, I don't know, they're just violent people by nature, really. I mean, and as soon as somebody comes along and says, hey, this is your fault, they go, oh, he Uncle Tom, he a coon motherfucker. It's like, no. You need to just go ahead and get off of welfare and stop gunning each other down on the streets. Like, yo, dog, let me throw up my symbol, my gang symbols here, is pretty consistent. It's what's valued in these communities for whatever stupid reason. I mean, let's face it, like, these just aren't smart people. Chicago's its own weird case. And then you have this cuck mayor, Rahm Emanuel, who's been mayor for quite a while. And, he's even saying, oh, we're going to remain a sanctuary city. Okay, well, keep watching that murder rate climb. It's like they think it's some kind of game that they're going to get points for. They're like, we beat last weekend's score. I don't see how anybody lives there. And that type of thing as well comes as a result of a lot of white flight. White people are leaving Chicago in droves. And you don't want to be white living in, South Chicago. It's just gang warfare, and I think that the police should be able to tighten down, but a lot of them, they're not able to, because heaven forbid you actually kill one of these guys, and then they're going to have a barbecue and put them on a shirt, and they're going to drag your name through through the mud on CNN and all of this shit. So it's just kind of a gang-run city. It's really sad. I mean, it used to be a good city, but this is what you get when you cram up a whole bunch of, dumbass, violent people, and I don't think it's going to get any better with Rahm Emanuel as mayor.
Kelvin, what do you have to say about everything that I had said in the opening statement as well as Bryden's comment?
Well, I don't want to defend violence by any means, but, this is kind of historically the standpoint of Chicago, and, this has gone back a long time. If you know history, you know that Al Capone, he ran Chicago during his empire. So it's always been known for this violence, and it's nothing new to the city. I did have a few things that, I think could maybe possibly improve on the city and the situation that they're under. See, right now you got this kind of a no snitching code between members of the community, and I don't think that's productive in any fashion. And then at the same time, you have like a code of silence among the police department. And that kind of thing is especially destructive because it allows corruption and police brutality to thrive, because nobody will turn in the bad cops, because without a doubt there are bad cops in the group. So there's no way around that. But when you have that code of silence among your peers, it just makes everybody fall, because it destroys credibility. It creates that resentment between the community and the police that serve them. And then also, I think the war on drugs and removing black role models from homes for nonviolent drug offenses, I think that's terrible. What do you expect when the kids have nobody to look up to? Honestly, what do you expect when fathers are out of the home? And a lot of times they'll have these fines to get out of jail, and the people can't afford the $100 bail, so they just can't afford it, and the criminal justice system is taking them away from the home, which only makes the poverty even more of an issue. And when you don't have money, you tend to turn to crime, and that's proven fact. So I think that's pretty bad. But then also, I think that it would help to invest in the education, because when kids have education, they're not as tempted by crime and trying to look cool to be like these rappers that they idolize, who practice or that preach violence throughout all of their songs. And then lastly, there's a quote that says, "Idle hands are the devil's tool," meaning that I think that if you had more jobs available in the city, that would cut back on crime because you would have less people with all this free time and nothing to do. And it, they used to say that judges would put people in the military to put them on the straight and narrow because it would give them something to do. It would occupy their time. And I think with all those things together, you could probably make a dent in the big problem that Chicago has right now.
Now, hold on, because it seems like you were kind of displacing the blame and putting it a little bit onto cops. These are wars between gangs. It's not wars between the cops and gangs. I mean, these are rival gangs fighting over, hey, this is my turf or whatever. And on top of, I would love it if education, putting more into education would make a dent. But the thing is, where are you going to get these nice teachers to go into these shitty places? Have you seen some of these classrooms? These kids don't want to learn. They just dick around and they eventually drop out of school. I mean, it's sad but true. I wish there was a way to fix it. But
done to fix that?
I really don't think so. I mean, it's just kind of ingrained in the culture. I mean, it's going to be up to black leaders to kind of mobilize their community to do a little bit better. But as far as taking taking fathers out of the home, yeah, for non-violent drug offenses, I can understand that. But a lot of these are robberies, things like that. And do you really want a child raised by a drug addict? Like, if it's pot, that's one thing. But a lot of these people are doing harder stuff. And that's not anything that children should be around.
Well, I mean, you mentioned a lot of points there, but I didn't mean to put the blame on the police. But I think people go towards gangs when they feel they're not reached by the police department. They don't feel like they can be protected by the police department. So I think if there was more of a connection, more a communication between the department and the communities, they would feel more reliant on the police that are there to serve them. So I think, that stop snitching code between the community, yes, but the code of silence in the actual police department, the people that are getting paid by the tax dollars, I think that would make a difference. And, I mean, I don't know the exact drug usages, so I can't really comment on that, but I think, having these positive role models. Go ahead.
Kelvin, when you say that there needs to be better communication between the police and the black community, how is that supposed to happen when in every other rap song you're hearing "fuck the police" and then you hear Black Lives Matter saying, "What do we want dead cops? What do we want them now?" How is there supposed to be better communication with this concept?
I mean, that's tough. I mean, basically the police need to hold each other accountable and make it seem that what they're doing is not placing themselves above the law, but actually following the law to make sure that everybody is safer in that community, not just whoever they want to protect. I think that's the big thing. I mean, you have that disconnect for a reason. People don't just hate the police just because.
Do you agree with Bryden when he says that it's a scientific issue, that this is a biological problem? Would you agree with that?
No, not at all. I think some people are violent, and that's in their nature, and I think other people are not. I mean, I know violent black people, violent white people. I know peaceful black people, peaceful white people. I don't think you're predisposed to being violent or dangerous just because of your ethnicity. I think that's nonsense.
Well, it's not what science says, but yeah, a lot of it does have to do with culture as well. But to compare the amount of, I would have to pull up the figures. I can try to look for those.
Bryden,
I would take a guess. Is
it majority biological or is it majority cultural?
I would say it's probably a little more cultural at this point, but people with more African descent, have a more of a tendency to react violently to a situation. That's just an evolutionary thing because, man, these guys had to go fight fucking, lions and shit when they were in Africa. So the way the brain is set up, it's, okay, act now, think later. It can be good and bad, but that paired with a culture of violence, you're going to, and lack of wanting any education, and then the IQ issue. you're gonna run into more violent black people. That's just the way that it is. I mean, what to do about it? That's the next question. I mean, that's what we've got to do something about it. We can't just throw them in camps or something like that, and we can't expect them to just get better overnight. If we make known the reality of race, then maybe we can start to come up with some sensible policies to try to figure this out and, get them to stop killing each other. And it's not just the blacks, it's the Hispanics over there as well, and many of which are illegal. So we can start by sending them back. But what are you going to do here? But what I was going to say is the amount of just gang-related violence, like civilian-on-civilian deaths, versus the amount of police killing civilians, I would really wager is far more just gang members killing gang members than you're going to get cops killing anybody.
Kelvin, you have to admit that it is a bit of a cultural issue with everything that I just said, as far as everything that Black Lives Matter is pushing, the stuff that you hear in rap music where everything is violence, sex, drugs, money. That's literally all it is nowadays. You have to admit that it is a bit of a cultural issue, and it's been like this for quite some time.
Well, I think that the Black Lives Matter that you keep trying to push as the devil is a reaction to a situation that's put on black people. No, they're not, actually. They're actually a reaction to police brutality and violence in the black communities. So I think that's out of the question. But culturally, as far as hip-hop music and the role models that these kids see, because I think that could be definitely a cultural issue. That's why I say that education, positive male role models, being in the home, having jobs for these kids to work, to occupy their time, to see that you work and you earn money legally. And I think all of those put together could make a huge impact on it. But, just because of the poverty, culturally, it could be an issue, yeah.
But then let's look at who's building these cultures. I mean, who's actually building these cultures? There is a clear difference in way of thinking and values, in intelligence. Who is building these little cultures?
Well, that's an interesting question. You can look at the laws passed by the congressmen that affect those people. You can look at the drug laws. You can look at even the industry executives at the very top who push certain artists. So, you could say who is pushing that culture, and you're answering your own question.
It's the Jews. Absolutely. To a certain degree. You said industry executives, dude. You know who the industry executives are there, don't you, William? Come on, you know who they are. But
you took that a little bit farther than I would have.
Well, just look at their last names. It's like, oh yeah, who are you? Oh, my name's Ellie Goldberg. How's it going now? Would you like to just have some money, hoes, and bitches? Just go ahead and sign here, then. You go ahead and sign there, Negro. You'll be fine. You'll be rich and famous, I promise. So, yeah, it is a lot of that.
It happened with the NWA. Look at Eazy-E. Perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect example.
Yeah. But it is embraced. It is embraced by these people, and it was systematic, and it was known that this punk rock for black kids essentially was going to pick up, and it has. It comes a lot from prison culture as well. So you can blame these people passing these laws, but hey, why don't you just not do drugs? Why don't you just not sell drugs, dude? Maybe don't steal. That's
right.
Cool. Like, if you want to go into a convenience store with a gun and go, give me some money. It's like you should have gone, give me a job application.
Well, to be devil's advocate, I know a lot of people who do drugs and they brag about it pretty frequently, and they're not in jail. Cough, cough.
Good.
That is true. That is very true.
If pot's legal in your state or whatever, that's fine. But it's also you're doing it in your own home, as long as you're not walking down the street smoking, which in a lot of these cities is totally fine. Even before, you're not allowed to smoke pot in public in Los Angeles, and yet I can't go outside without some dude. It's usually a black guy walking by with a with a doobie, lighting a J. So he's doing fine. It's only when you start acting like an idiot or selling cocaine or crack or things like that Because typically these people that, come up with, it would depend on case-by-case basis, but the people that are getting these drug charges, they tend to be in some other sticky situations as well. And maybe they were just in the car when somebody was like, hey, pull over here, and then they get out and they shoot somebody who's in some, in a gang or something like that, and then now they're stuck in a car and they get implemented in a murder. That's unfortunate, but, don't hang out with those people. Like, you should know if your friend is the type of person to just go cap a nigga. You're in a bad situation. You shouldn't be hanging out with those people. So it's I'm not totally without sympathy here, or can understand that people can get in a bad situation.
You just go about the fact. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's just not great.
So I hate though that you like. I hear this a lot where a lot of white people, every time we get on a conversation like this, I've noticed that a lot of white people feel the need to say, well, I'm not racist. Well, I'm not trying to be mean. Well, I'm not a bigot or anything. But white people shouldn't have to do that. Let's be honest here. When a little part of the population is responsible for 50% of the murder rate, why do we have to say that when we're going by the facts? And that is the biggest statistic of them all. And then when, according to the FBI, a black man is more likely to shoot a cop than a cop shooting a black man, why aren't we discussing those facts? It's constantly black oppression, people are dying by the police and all this nonsense. Nobody wants to talk about the music or the way people dress. They become stereotypes, or what's in movies. You see a movie, the black person is what it happens to be a stereotype. How come nobody wants to talk about this, but it's all Whitey's fault? That's what I'm so frustrated at with this entire conversation. There's no personal responsibility being taken.
No, the point is the gangs are not getting paid by tax dollars. So that's quite a big difference there. I mean, if the people trusted the police, they wouldn't feel the necessity to go towards gangs. If they had jobs to get money elsewhere, they wouldn't need gangs to get their living. I mean, there's all sorts of things. They had role models that taught them out of it. They had decent education. There's a lot of reasons behind it. So it's hard to just put that pin in there and call it a day.
Listen, the reason that there aren't a lot of jobs in the areas, and it's mostly just fast food and check cashing places and liquor stores, is holy shit. Who's gonna open up a Whole Foods there and just go, well, they're gonna shoplift and eventually burn it down as soon as somebody gets shot? Like, why even bother? That's why there's not nice housing over there and things like that. That's why it's a shitty part of town. And as soon as somebody tries to come in and make it a better part of town, they go, gentrification, get out of here, Whitey, this is our neighborhood. And it's like, well, then take care of it, asshole. And they don't. Now, as far as the education goes, that would be nice. But where are you going to get these, nice, should be paid more teachers from these private schools to come into these inner city schools? Maybe you get a few of them. They think they're doing a nice thing until they get, cold cocked in the face by Jamal. But you're not going to get the greatest things out there because it's a shitty neighborhood, because they consistently make it shitty. If they would just stop, doing this gang shit and stop committing crimes, that would be nice. And about, the gangs aren't getting taxpayer dollars. You're right. I wish we could tax all of that. But if the cops come and talk to them, they aren't going to go, all right, well, Jose, I know you've been a cocaine dealer for about 8 years now. I was wondering, though, if we pay a little more attention to your needs, and maybe we get lunch every once in a while, we stop pushing drugs into the street. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen, man.
You mentioned the lack of jobs, right? But the biggest industries in Chicago, when they were booming. Okay, well, the biggest industries in Chicago were manufacturing, printing, publishing, stuff like that. And you know that the newspaper is a thing of history. You know that manufacturing has left the country along with NAFTA in the 90s. So, I mean, it's not strictly it's a bad neighborhood so jobs don't go there. It's a changing times. And the city needs to bring in newer jobs, newer types of jobs. You can do all sorts of things with the internet and shipping, all sorts of things, but they don't even – it's not even an effort put into it.
How smart do you think these people are, dude? These are trained, these are skilled positions. I mean, it's just an unfortunate truth. The jobs are going to go to the nice neighborhoods where they actually don't have their building burnt down.
All right, so let's move on. There was breaking news tonight that came out on all the mainstream media outlets. as well as social media that, 35 people were killed, 40 were injured in a nightclub attack in Istanbul, Turkey. Radical Islam, of course, obviously, the religion of peace, once again, strike. And earlier in the week, in Switzerland, there were several Muslims who stabbed Christians going to a mass. So here we are. We just had, I believe that we had a debate, and we've had multiple debates here on the show about radical Islam. And here we are with another issue, more radical Islam. Kelvin, will you finally admit, because you've been a big believer in Islam, will you finally admit that we have a bit of a problem with the religion of Islam?
No, there's 1.5 billion followers of Islam in the world. So that's, what is that, like a fifth of the entire world's population? If they were all violent, then I think we would all be dead by now. I don't think that's an issue at all. You have these crazy extremists that take their own view of their religion, and they make it out to be violent when it is neither violent nor positive, just like any other religion. And, I mean, in this one, you can tell just how pathetic they are, because they're opportunists. So they see a time when people will be gathered together to celebrate the new year, and they take advantage of it. So, I mean, I don't see this as the strength of these extremists at all. I see this as weakness.
Let me throw a few statistics at your way about the religion of Islam and why I'm worried about the religion of Islam, and why I feel like that you have there are multiple valid reasons of why anybody would be scared of Islam and why they should be scared of Islam. But nearly 50% of Muslims in this country support strict Sharia law. 70% blame the United States and Israel for 9/11. Statistically, when you break it down, that's 143 million people who have a radicalized mindset just in this country. Then when you go overseas, you go to a place like Egypt. Egypt has a total of 80 million Muslims. 65% of Muslims support strict Sharia law in every Islamic country. 70% of Muslims said they had positive or mixed feelings about Osama bin Laden. That's 55.2 million radicalized Muslims in Egypt, and has 179 Muslims. 76% want strict Sharia law in every Islamic country. That's 135 million radicalized Muslims in Pakistan. Bangladesh has 149 million Muslims. 25% feel like suicide bombing and targeting civilians are sometimes justified. 82% want Sharia law. 66% believe in honor killings of women. That's 121 million radicalized Muslims in Bangladesh. Nigeria, 75.7 Muslims live there. 71% favor Sharia law. When you look at these statistics and you're seeing that every Muslim country has millions upon millions of radicalized Muslims, I'm a bit confused of how you can still defend this religion, but you have no problem with other people bashing Christianity. I'm just a bit concerned with your mindset here.
Well, okay, so you had you said some statistic about them supporting Osama bin Laden or thinking favorably about him or something like that. Well, at the same time, did not George Bush kill more people than Osama bin Laden by a long shot in a fabricated war in Iraq?
He was the fucking president. He actually,
did he not do it?
Oh my God, that is such a false equivalency. That is
how is that a false
that's
equivalence?
Completely ridiculous.
He killed far more people than Osama bin Laden ever did.
He was the goddamn commander-in-chief of the
Exactly. That's why
States.
he's responsible. He's the top tier on the government. What are you talking about?
One was a terrorist attack. The other is that's
Bush?
war.
Well, why did we go into Iraq? So is that not a terrorist attack?
No, it's not, because it's done by a country. It wasn't great. I was against the Iraq War. Well, oh my God, no, you're dude. So
if you're the head of a country, you cannot commit terrorist attacks.
Dude, what you're wanting then? You're saying that I'm gonna do the same leap here that you did. So we should just instate Sharia law in these places, and then that would be fine, and then maybe you'd have a problem with Islam. Is that what it's going to take, is Sharia law, before you finally go, oh man, I'm not so crazy about Islam?
I mean, there's negative aspects of every religion, so I really don't see how this one is any different than any that we implement on our people. I really don't understand how slavery was supported by supported by Christianity. And that was totally okay.
In the 1860s,
women not being
not
able,
2016.
women not being able to vote was supported by Christianity. That was okay. It wasn't an issue.
Not in 2016.
Gay people not being allowed to marry. That was not an issue and was supported by Christianity. Yet somehow this other religion that has 1.5 billion practitioners is the bad guy when they didn't do anything to us until we started interfering in their affairs. I say we leave them alone.
That's a defiant. I would have loved to leave them alone. I'd like to leave them all alone. I'd like to get them out of the country and back to the Middle East where they belong. But yeah, see, that's the thing. It's my slavery, my this and that. The difference between Christianity and Islam, as I actually wrote in a column on New Media Central, is Christianity has gone through plenty of reforms over the years. Yes, it's done horrible things, but it's gone through reforms, and it's adapted to the modern world. Whereas the only reform that Islam has ever done is now they've got their sandy little hands on modern weapons.
Well, the reforms that you're talking about all come prior to all the stuff I listed. So I don't understand how it's any different still.
Oh yeah, because hey, we should totally just continue to get bombed and have people shot and bring them all into our country. Because my slavery. Big
hey man, if I go into your listen, if I go into your house and you strike back at me, I should not be surprised.
Oh my God, you are such a
man.
Holy shit. Can I talk to your wife? Would you like to watch? You fucking idiot.
Man.
Hey, you know what? At least in Turkey, they dressed up as Santa Claus. So, you know what? At least they're getting festive with it, huh? Maybe that's assimilating. That's them assimilating to Western culture, right? They dressed up as Santa Claus to kill us this time. Come on.
All right, so moving on. Moving on.
So.
Hold on. Caller, you're on the air.
Indeed. How y'all doing?
How you doing now?
Hey, what's going on, man?
I'm all right. It's your best friend, man. Why not?
No, Nas.
What's going on, best friend?
Oh, nothing, man. I'm sitting there listening to this conversation, man. This is interesting. If I could weigh in on a few things, if y'all don't mind.
No, please.
Go ahead.
Okay. First things first, the Chicago breakdown. The second gentleman tried to correct a few things, but look, when you talk about Chicago, you got to understand what it is. You go back to 1928, you'll see the murder rates were comparable. Well, I mean, yeah, here we go with numbers and stats. Math is scary.
No, you're bringing up
during
history.
the Capone.
Bring up something relevant in 2016.
Well, if you let me talk, I'll explain it to you. It's not hard.
Go ahead.
Just listen slowly.
Sir.
You'll get it.
2016. Go ahead.
We'll get there.
Go ahead.
You done? I mean, I'll lay it out for you.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and hang up on you because we have to
go
ahead and
let him
get
talk. Come on, Andrew. No, you got to let him talk.
Of the day. No, because it's 10:38. We have to go ahead and get to our interview because now joining us is Ethan Sabo. He is a gay Christian conservative Republican. Oh, yeah, absolutely. He can call back, but we have to get to this interview. He can call back, and we can talk to him after this interview. Ethan Sabo joins us now. So before we even get to the interview, Ethan, how are you doing tonight here on New Year's Eve?
I'm good. I'm just sitting in my lonesome apartment by myself drinking.
Oh, man. That's
what are you drinking
right there.
On? What are you drinking
Say
on?
that again? Oh, a Sky vodka.
All right, so vodka. All right, so let me ask you. So what exactly made you an outlier? Because a lot of people on the left would highly criticize you for being not only a homosexual but a Christian at the same time and a Republican on top of that. So what would you say to the left who would slam you for not being on the right and made you not become a victim to leftist identity politics?
Well, I think it all really starts back to my upbringing, and a lot of people can say that, oh, well, you were brainwashed and you know, you don't know what the hell you're really talking about. But you know what? Fuck those people, because when I really sit here and I think about my life, what I believe in, and my values, it has nothing to do. I don't believe in any way that the left believes, and in 2004 is when I really, really got active in politics, and of course I was really, really young then, but as a class project we had to figure out where we stood at. So we looked at the 2004 platforms of either party. And I shit you not, 95% of it I believed in the Republicans, and only 5% of course with one gay issue, marriage, somewhat. That was about the only 5% that I believed in with the left. So why would I vote for a party that I only believe in 5% of the time? That's ridiculous. So that's how I define myself. I look at the platforms that every time they come up, and that's how I can define who I am. I don't fall into that leftist bullshit that, we're gonna fight for your rights. No, I can fight for myself. I can fight for I don't need special rights. I can live my life and I can be happy without gay marriage or gay rights or whatever, because if somebody's going to fire me for being gay, screw them. I'll go find another job. If somebody's going to bash me for being gay, screw you. I'll kick your ass. That's how I am. I'm very self-sufficient.
What a great answer and a great mindset. What is your opinion, though, on Christianity? You are a Christian. What is your opinion on Christianity and the homosexual culture not necessarily getting along? And your thoughts on the left automatically calling Christians a bigot or just some kind of derogatory term for just going by what's in their book. They're just going by God's word. So what is up with all the nonsense from the left with this? You're automatically a bigot?
Well, here's the thing. Everybody can believe the way they want to believe. The Bible says what it says. But the Bible also tells you that you have to love thy neighbor. You have to love each other, because that is what is right. I love everybody. And the left wants you to believe that Christians hate you. I have never in my life ever been treated like shit by Christians as I have by the left. I have been treated more so of like dirt by the left because I believe the way I believe. I grew up in a Catholic household.
Ethan, before you continue, it's interesting because we had a Muslim woman on last week, and she's a big Republican, big Trump supporter, and she said the exact same thing, that conservatives have never treated her like crap because she was a Muslim, but the left certainly has. It's kind of funny that you have a nearly identical answer. That's just really interesting.
Well, because it's true. I mean, look, I live here in Austin. We're not even progressive. I mean, we are communist here. And I've been active in the gay community somewhat in Austin, and every time that they ask me, well, who do you support this election? I was like, Trump all the way. And they're like, automatically there's a wall put up and I'm pushed away. And it's like And my thing is, I thought that love trumps hate. That's, always put it back in their face. I thought love trumped hate. I thought that y'all were loving people. No. In my lifetime, I have been accepted
only
in
if
every
it serves
single
their
church.
agenda, Ethan.
That's it. Exactly it. And if I don't believe the way that they believe in, then I'm shit. I'm a demigod, honestly, and that's what they think. But getting back to my upbringing with Christianity. My grandmother is a 1950s Democrat, and she always tells me, well, I can judge who I want to judge, and I can believe the way I want to believe, but I can also choose who I love. And she's like, and I love all gay people. And to me, that's something that, coming from an old school Christian, it really warms my heart. And she's not the first person that I've heard that from. But here's another one too that I hear from the left is, well, they'll tell you that they love you, but they just want you to be in there so that they can use your vote. What about Barack Obama in 2008 standing up in front of millions of Christians on a TV show saying that he believes that marriage is between one man and one woman, not to mention going back into 2012 when he used us for political gain and said, I'm all of a sudden evolving on my ideas. No, that's how the left does it. The left will always pander to what you believe in to get your vote. The right doesn't have to do that. Donald Trump is the first Republican nominee to ever come out in a convention and say that he's going to protect us from radical Islamic terrorists. To me, right there, every single fag out there should have stood up and said, you know what, we're going to support Trump because Hillary Clinton has not said one thing. Hillary Clinton takes millions upon millions of dollars from Saudi countries that treat women like shit, kill people like me, and in all honesty, rape children. So who's the lesser of two evils, honestly? Well, to me, Donald Trump's not even evil at all. Donald Trump is an all-American guy. He stands up on principle, and he stands up for people like me, and that's what I liked about him.
Amen.
So, yeah, I get to rambling on. I get to rambling on. Sorry.
No, you're doing great.
No, you told me.
Kelvin, as a gay man and a leftist, what does that? How does that make you feel?
I know nothing about that, so I could ask you about the gay portion. There's nothing on that. But no, that just kind of confirms what I told Drew the past week and the week before that even, that, Hillary Clinton helped Donald Trump more than anybody during this election. Because when you weigh the two against each other, I mean, it's not even comparable. Like, he's not the best candidate, but I think she was just a nightmare for anybody's perspective. Like, she was a criminal, and there's no question. But I only have really one question, and it kind of sparked from when you said you didn't want special treatment, and I respect that, by the way. But I guess my perspective on it's a little bit different. I see it as, marriage equality wouldn't really be special treatment at all, but rather you not being allowed to be married because you're gay, and simply because you're gay, would be the special treatment. So, I mean, like, I don't understand. Do you not see it that way?
I do and I don't, because here's the thing. Because I've done this with a guy that I was going to spend the rest of my life with, who I'm not with anymore. But we went to lawyers. Every single right that a straight couple has, from getting half of everything, from doctor visits to the end of life, everything. You can get everything put on a piece of paper, signed by a lawyer, and that is law, because that is your beneficiary. Okay, there is not one person that can go against you. The government can't. I mean, well, technically the government can do whatever the hell they want, but every right that straight people have, I have always had it, because all you have to do is go to the lawyers and get it done. Now, do I see where the left comes from, especially the gay left? Do I see where y'all coming from on, okay, well, we need the federal government to step in and protect us, which, to give us the to give us all the same rights when it comes to marriage, divorce, splitting up everything, the doctor's visit, all that. I get that. But here's the problem. You don't need the government to help you do that. You can do it on your own. All you got to do is do the research. And if you don't have the money to hire the lawyer, there are plenty of liberal pro bono lawyers like that. They will do it for you, because that's the way he went. My thing is I don't need anybody to help me. In all honesty, I could give a rat's ass who wants to help me or who doesn't want to help me, because I can help myself. I'm a big country fucker from the woods, okay? I can do it by myself. I don't need the government
Personal responsibility. I love that.
That's exactly it. I don't, even I tell my own father, who's a huge Republican, I tell my father all the time, I don't need you. I don't need anybody else. I can do it on my own. I can survive on my own. But you have all of these triggered politically correct people go, oh, no, well, what if I get gay bashed? Well, carry a damn gun. Go get your handline, concealed carry, and blow the living shit out of the person that attacks you. Or take some self-defense classes. Yeah, well, I'm all for kill now and ask questions later, because if somebody's going to come up behind me and attack me, they're dead. I'm sorry. I don't care what your name is, what your background is, what color you are. If you're going to harm me, I'm going to harm you. And I think that everybody should have that attitude, especially the people like me who are targeted by, and I'm going to say this, we are targeted by some people on the right, but I bet your ass I'm not as targeted by the right as bad as I am by the left, because I had the GayRepublican.com going at one time. It was about 5 years ago. My blog was huge. The Advocate magazine got a hold of it. They wrote this really nasty article on me. And I shit you not, I had death threats. I had at my job, I had 25 pizzas from Domino's ordered and sent to my job because of the trolls. I had death threats in the mail. I had people calling my grandparents. I mean, and it was the people from the left. As of right now, my phone's not in my name, my apartment's not in my name, my car's not in my name, nothing is in my name, because for this whole time I've gotten away from the internet because of these people. But you know what? When Donald Trump came out and he gave me hope, for the last 8 years I have not had hope. Michelle Obama can go on Oprah and say all day long that she feels like that hope is lost. No, hope has been lost for over 8 years. I finally feel hope again. I finally feel safe in my own home, because I know that Donald Trump's going to stand for my Second Amendment rights, so when that son of a bitch comes through my door, his head's gone. That's how I feel. And I honestly feel that if the government wants to hold my hand, well, I can break their hand. So.
Well, I mean, I don't know the laws for Texas, but I know in some states the adoption laws are a little bit strict for gay couples, and just some of the marriage tax benefits you get as a married couple. They're excluded if you're gay up until the recent ruling. But again, I don't know Texas, and I do respect your do-it-yourself mentality. I was in the Marine Corps, so I know all about making it work without support. Oh, no. I'm glad you recognize it. But, yeah, I respect your opinion. I'm glad you shared it. That's the end of my questions, though.
Well, I had a couple questions specifically about, the whole gay thing. Okay, so if both of them have penises, no, I'm kidding. Now, how do you feel about all the advancements that, as far as socially and things like that, it seems that the gay community has made? But it seems, to me at least, that it's come along, and the trans community is kind of latching onto our accomplishments here, and kind of co-opting and taking over the movement, which there's no more movement anymore. I think it's just kind of like something that you got to have a parade for something, I guess. It's a big moneymaker. But you share my view that it seems like the trannies are just trying to ride on the wave of gay acceptance?
So here's so I have a few tranny friends, and one's actually a Republican, which is, I feel sorry for him, her, whatever you want to call her. So you're right on the advancement of gay rights, period. It's over with. There's nothing else that we can honestly debate because the law is the law. And these states can do what they want to do, but the Supreme Court ruled it's the law of the land. Let's please move on because we have an economy to save. Now, the trans people felt left out because there was no special wording put into it. Boo-hoo. Here's the thing. If you were born with a dick, you're a guy. If you were born with a vagina, you're a girl. If you want to change it, that's your business. But at the end of the day, God gave you what you have, and if they really, really, really want to get technical with me, they better be glad that they're even alive because they could have been aborted. Because their progressive parents could have aborted their asses, and they wouldn't even had a chance at life. That's what I always, I tell my friend that, and he somewhat believes that as well. Now, do I agree that transsexuals are targeted more than, say, everyday gay and lesbian? Hell yes, they are, and I've seen it with my own eyes. But here's the thing. Sometimes they have to grow up. You have to be a man or you have to be a woman, and you have to defend yourself. Now, do I feel like they're riding on the coattails of the gay rights movement? Yeah, and again, I repeat myself I feel like that the wording wasn't put in there for them, and I understand that. But at the same time, you have to bring up personal responsibility because everybody's human. You're not going to please everybody, and you have to take what you have at the moment. And to me, that's standing up and defending yourself and defending your right to life. And again, you have to repeat this to them, and I say this, and I say this with utmost respect. Just be glad you weren't aborted, because you're so worried about trying to be male or female. Just be happy that you're alive. Be happy that you get a chance at life. So
that's fair. And I know Kelvin talked about this a little bit. Yeah, how do you feel about gays adopting? I mean, I know from what I could tell, you and I align pretty well as far as, like, you put all this stuff down on a piece of paper, whatever, it was just kind of a political thing to be like, and now we got gay marriage. And I thought it was a whole load of bullshit. But do you think that it's healthy for two women or two men to adopt and raise a child?
I think that, because I was raised by a single parent, a single dad, and I think that whoever wants to raise a kid should be able to raise a kid. Now, for me and my current partner, we do in the future want to raise a kid, but here's the thing. I feel that if you can raise a kid, but don't mentally fuck the kid up. And I see it with lesbians' mothers who turn their son, and I'm saying all lesbian mothers, but I've read stories where they turn their kid into a transsexual because they push it on them. Well, I don't believe in that.
No, lesbians are insane. Lesbians are absolutely insane. I don't like lesbians one bit.
Our next guest should be interesting. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, especially her being a libertarian. That's kind of, yeah. Anyway, So
she used to be a lefty, so she's progressing. She used to be a big lefty, so she's progressing. We'll give her that.
I will not rest until everyone is fascist.
well, you know what? God bless her. So here's the thing. Do I feel that gays should have the right to adopt? I think anybody should have the right to have kids, because what we're going to do is I'm going to sleep with a chick. I've done it in high school. I'm not afraid to do it. I will, whatever. And she's already agreed to it, and I'm going to get her pregnant, and I'm going to have my kid. He's going to get another girl pregnant. We're going to have our kids, and I think that what we're going to do is we're going to make each other the godparents and do the beneficiary thing. Now, you can come into play with this whole, well, I want to be the legal father, and I want to be the legal father. Okay, well, good for you. I'm glad you both want to be the legal father, but at the end of the day, you're going to be hating it. So if you want to, if the state's ratified to where both same-sex can adopt, fine with me, whatever. It's a states' rights issue to me anyway. If the states want to do it, whatever. Just don't fuck your kid up. I mean, period. Don't tell your kid that let your kid learn themselves. That's how I learned. That's how my brother learned. That's how I think that's how y'all learned. You learned on your own. You didn't need to be brainwashed. Your parents can teach you from right for wrong, but they can also teach you what's fucked up and what's not. And to me,
you don't think that the situation you just proposed is rather degenerate and strange? It's going to be a weird conversation to have someday. I don't know, I don't know your partner's name or anything like that, but it's like, oh yeah, here's mommy and here's daddy and here's other daddy and then half mommy, and it's like, hold on, that's weird because little Timmy at school just has a mommy and a daddy. That somehow seems worse to me. Like that's degenerate. Anybody that moves away from the nuclear family, I think I'm not a big not a big fan of the whole, I'm going to call it modern family aspect of things. You don't think that could do more damage than just having two tag parents?
Well, you know what? We've often thought about that too, because one question that we've always asked each other was, well, what's going to happen when they get old enough and they're like, well, who's my mother? And I'm like, well, you're
Shauna
into
down
whatever.
The street.
You're hey, that slut down the road, that's your mom down there. Okay, no. What's really and honestly, it's one thing that's bothered us a little bit, and we're not past that yet, because I play back and forth like, do I want kids? Yeah, I want kids. I want to raise a son. I want to raise a daughter, But would I do more damage doing that? And I've often said, yeah, I more than likely would, but I think it's really, in all honesty, how you raise your kids. I definitely respect your opinion, or because I have had that opinion, and I still somewhat do. So I see 110% where you're coming from, and to me, it's like, I think you have to make the best decision at the right time, especially when it comes to kids, because nobody's perfect.
Last question. We'll go ahead and get you out of here, Ethan. And I'm just curious to see what you think. But wait a minute, I believe that you already answered the question. So as far as gay marriage is concerned, you do believe that should be a state-by-state issue, let the states vote on it?
Oh, I definitely think it's a states' rights issue. I think the Supreme Court step in was total bullshit. I think all these rogue judges, these activist judges that started in Utah, I think that was horseshit. The state's constitution trumps the federal constitution, and it's a states' rights issue. If the people come together and ban same-sex marriage, I'm 110% okay with that, because the people voted. It's the right of the people. And when all these judges went out and did that, I was sending in the bells in Louisiana when the Utah crap happened. And I honestly screamed, "You fucking faggots," real loud, and then I left, because it really pissed me off that you went against something that was so sacred to the state. And I think it's a states' rights issue. I don't think the federal government should be in marriage at all, honestly.
Ethan Sabo, gay Christian, conservative Republican. You have been a great interview, sir, and we hope you enjoy your New Year's.
All right, y'all too. Thank you. God bless y'all.
Happy New Year's, Goyam. God bless.
You too, brother.
All right, so I'm a little bit interested with something that you had said, Bryden, about how you don't like lesbians. So explain, two questions for you. Why don't you like lesbians? And two, are you going to tell Latasia Horton is the name of the Libertarian Lesbian. Are you going to tell her that you do not like lesbians?
I mean, only if it's relevant. The reason I don't like lesbians, and I say that, like, it's funny because people are like, oh, Bryden doesn't like lesbians, he doesn't like Jews, he doesn't like that. Just because I say it doesn't mean that my best friend is not a Jewish lesbian fucking Hillary campaigner. You know, it's funny, but whatever. I mean, you know, we have all got some weird friends. The reason I don't like lesbians is I simply don't think that they exist. Now, with female sexuality, it's extremely fluid. I mean, it's a crazy odd amount, like 90% or something of quote-unquote lesbians end up having a heterosexual relationship around 13 years later after they've done that. But most of these lesbians are just simply too ugly or too horrible to actually attract men. Now, men's sexuality is a little more stagnant. It doesn't fluctuate as much. But, like, girls will, like, make out with other girls at the clubs and all of this shit when they get drunk. Girls are just like that. That's the way that it is. And most of your girlfriends, I'm sure, at one point or another experimented in college. You know, it's they're lesbian until after graduation. And I don't like all this, like, dyke, right, da-da-da. And they tend to just be mean. It's like, it's the penis envy. I'm sorry, you're not a boy. You need to get over it. You're just a really ugly chick. Okay, you're just an ugly chick. And maybe you could find an ugly dude, and you could just lead an ugly life. But no, it's going to, like, not shave your armpits and, you know, just, like, muff dive all the time. It's retarded. And, like, they're smelly, ugly, rude people. Like, everything with them is just it's just an effort to try to be friends with these people. They're not all Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi. Like, that's the thing. Most of them are these, like, just bitchy, horrible little creatures that insist on acting like men when they're not, and it's just tiresome to have to deal with them. I absolutely abhor lesbians. And they're just as paused as gay men, because if not more, because, hey, they're not getting AIDS, you know? So they're just really unbearable people to have to ever deal with, and they think they're tough, and it's like, you bitch, if you were a guy, I'd slug you. You know, and you don't, because it's like, they're going to act like a man, and then you punch them in the face, and all of a sudden they're going to be a woman again. So it's they're just terrible, and I really think that due to the way female sexuality is, they largely don't exist. So just knock it off. Just knock it off, and go try to find a guy within your league. You're gonna not have to provide for yourself. You're gonna be much happier. You pop out a kid, and that'll be done with it. This whole lesbian thing, it's just, you know, whatever. It's just experimentation. It's an absolute mess. I really can't deal with them, honestly. I refuse to talk to them most of the time. I'm like, oh, you're a lesbian. I bet we have nothing in common. So, just not a fan.
What a super interesting question. That definitely answered my question. Kelvin, though, changing topics here, I want to ask you a question, because you're this big black activist guy. You stand up for BLM. You say police brutality and black oppression is everywhere. But you never really say anything about white hate. You never really recognize it. It doesn't really bother you. It is what it is. And I want to ask your opinion about a professor from Drexel University earlier this week had tweeted out over actually, I believe it was during Christmas Eve. He had tweeted out, quote unquote, "All I want for Christmas is white genocide." What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I read about that actually. I mean, he was being facetious. He was mocking it, because the term white genocide doesn't exist. It's fake. It's made up by the alt-right. No, it is absolutely fake. If you can name a single instance where the entire white population of any place was targeted and killed systematically, then please name
South Africa right now.
That's false.
But
where?
South Africa right now, but it's a hyperbolic term. And I'll get to that in a minute. So go ahead and finish your thing. Finish your dumb little thing. It makes sense. Finish your dumb little thing. You talk like a fag. Your shit's all retarded. Go ahead and finish your little thing, and then I'll tell you what it actually means.
So the point is, it's not a real term.
I thought you were just a redneck.
So
you were a black redneck, so it explains everything.
Point is, he was mocking.
And Kelvin, I just want to say, real quick that I did fact check this real quick, and Bryden is correct. There is currently a white genocide going on in South Africa.
There's not a white genocide, because you know how I know this? I went to South Africa.
What are you talking about?
Listen. I went to South Africa about 3 years ago for Nelson Mandela's funeral. A lot of my comrades who were with me were white people. We went out to the malls and to the public squares all the time, and there were no issues. We went to the Lion Park. You can look that up. That's actually a place. And there were no issues whatsoever. We went to another place called the Alligator Park, and that's in South Africa, the country. There were no issues. So this idea that white people are targeted and killed systematically, that's nonsense. It has never been a case.
Holy
and actually, he had a
what do you think of the Holocaust?
He had the.
You can tell me that's
Jewish.
not real.
That's Jewish.
You can tell me that's not real. No, I know. No, I know. But I'm just wondering what other thing you're going to deny now. What about the Armenians? Did that never happen too? Come on, dude.
I never said those.
Killed in South Africa. Don't be silly. Just because you didn't have an issue there doesn't mean that it's not a problem. All right. I'm glad that nothing happened to you. Most of the time.
Right.
Maybe later in the conversation I'll be a little upset that something didn't. But
if you knew what the term genocide meant, it would target all white people. White genocide. That would be all white people. If you're saying right now that only Christians are targeted, which still isn't the case, then that right there proves it's not a white genocide. It's a Christian genocide. And even so, it's not real, because that's not a case in South Africa. So again, you're wrong. But he had a follow-up.
Liar.
You're a liar. The Inquirer asked him about his tweet, and he gave him a response. He said, "On Christmas Eve, I sent a satirical tweet about an imaginary concept, white genocide. For those who haven't bothered to do their research, white genocide is an idea invented by white supremacists and used to denounce everything from interracial relationships to multicultural policies. It is a figment of the racist imagination. It should be mocked, and I'm glad to have mocked it." That was actually from the professor you mentioned. So, yes, he's a professor of history, and he was mocking a term that wasn't even real.
What you're saying is the left uses the terms for how they want them to sound. That's basically what you're saying.
No, I'm telling you that if there is a case of white genocide, to please show me the factual evidence, because there is none.
Jesus Christ. Okay, look, I gotta jump in here. First of all, you're a liar with South Africa, but that's fine. There's a lot of denial about that going on.
No, I went there. I went there twice.
Shut up. It's my turn.
I went for Nelson Mandela's funeral. There is no white genocide.
Good. Nelson Mandela, I'm so glad he's dead. He was a terrorist piece of shit. So fuck you.
Okay,
hold on,
that's fine that you think that, but I know that my comrades that were with me that were white were fine walking around in public. So no, that's not true.
Excuse me.
Quit lying on air.
Excuse me. Good God, you're about to get fired. Now, look, white genocide is a hyperbolic term. It's white countries are suffering from mass migration and miscegenation. So through all of this encouragement of interbreeding and things like that, because whites have recessive genes, it is much like the silent Holocaust. That's what the Jews call. They're like, holy shit, we're losing our people and our culture through Jews becoming secular, as well as intermarrying and things like that. Yeah, it's a hyperbolic term. I totally agree with that. But it's absolutely real. I mean, they brag about it. It's like Time Magazine is like, in 2050, this is what people are going to look like. They won't be white anymore. This is the new European and all of that. It's a hyperbolic term, absolutely, but it is real. So fuck that guy and fuck you twice. Kelvin, fuck you twice. All right? I don't expect you to look out for white people because you're not a white guy. Okay? And that's fine. I don't expect you to. It would be nice if you did, but the thing is, I don't care that you don't, because you're under no obligation to. But to just say, oh, well, no, this is fine, it's not fine. It's absolutely not fine. And then, like, there's that term again, white supremacist. It was invented by white supremacists. This is a fucking mess. You can't just call everybody that is pro-white a white supremacist. That's what they like to do, and that's what you're doing. So quit being dishonest. I don't think you're being dishonest, actually. I think you actually do believe this, but you are incorrect. You are wrong in this. But again, I don't expect you to look out for white interests because you're not white. It's fine. I don't really look out for black interests either. So that's fine.
Well, I guess my world travels are wrong then. Yeah, I guess my world travels are wrong. You know, I learned nothing from my visits to the actual country.
Okay, so you're not going to address the second point at all? Because I'm over the South Africa thing. You're just going to be a denier and a cunt about that. That's okay. But what about the second part?
I'm telling you that I actually set foot on the ground in South Africa. I was in Pretoria.
Holy shit! Did
I
you
was
just
in
listen
Pretoria.
To what I just said at all? Did you just listen to what I said at all?
Johannesburg and Pretoria. I was in both of them. There was no cases of white people being discriminated against in any way whatsoever. No form, fashion whatsoever.
Oh my God, you're fucking awful. You really are a horrible person.
Especially not by the government. Especially not by the government, which would constitute a genocide. So no, that's not true. There's no way I'm going to agree that it is true because it's not. There's no way.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. You're an idiot. Can we move on to the second point there about the miscegenation and how the white genocide is comparable to the silent Holocaust? Can you agree that white people are being outbred? And we are being outbred in our own countries, and this is a problem.
Truthfully,
because
I don't really
even
see
Time
it.
Magazine, several of these people celebrate.
I seen that. I seen that picture. It was a girl. She was a real pretty girl. I didn't see an issue with it because you're saying that there will be no more white people.
You don't care about the preservation of our people. I understand.
No,
look, I don't expect you to.
Listen, if you look at it in real context, it's not saying that there will be no more white people. It's saying that there will be no more black people or no more Hispanic people either. It'll be this one race that is unified.
Why is that a good thing? Why is that a good thing? What do you mean one race?
I don't
unified?
see why.
No, we're all losing things. When we race mix, we all lose things, dude. We all lose things, and we become
I don't see how that is negative.
Worldwide.
I don't see a pro or a con to it. I think it's whatever. It doesn't matter. There's no bad thing that comes from mixing races. That's nonsense.
Well, we definitely lose things physically and mentally. It's like when you breed dogs. Do you want some ugly, fucked up dog? No, you don't. Now, what would be the point in traveling if worldwide we are racially homogenous? We're just going to be a big, dumb, beige blob of fucking retarded, goddamn people who can't keep themselves together, while, you know who I'm talking about, Dick William, are going to be running the rest of the show because they don't want that for them, and it's perfectly fine for them to say, okay, marry within the clan, marry within the tribe over here. Dude, it's a hyperbolic term, I agree, and I don't like the term. I really don't. But this is happening, and it is widely accepted and celebrated that, there's not going to be any more white people soon. Now, when you say, there won't be any more black people, bullshit. Blacks have a lot more dominant genes. When it comes to, things like fertility, melanin, eye color, things like that. You want no more blonde hair, blue eyed people. That's fine. I understand. That's what you want. If that's what you want,
I thought the girl in the picture actually had blue eyes.
That's not how genetics work, dude. But that's.
I really don't see a problem with it.
Yeah, I know you don't, and that's why I'm here, and that's why people like me are here to try to stop that type of thing from happening. Because diversity is really big within just those of European descent. We don't need to get rid of that. I don't want to get rid of all the black people. I don't want to get rid of all the Hispanics. I don't want to even get rid of all the Jews or anything like that. I don't want to get rid of anybody. I think that we should all have these cool things that are different about us, and we need to maintain that. We're going to end up losing stuff if we're all just going out and race mixing and things like that. You can't do it, dude. You're going to lose something. Apparently that's fine with you, but it's fine. I know you hate white people. It's fine.
No, I don't actually. My mom's white. I would rather judge people after I meet them than prior to that. I think that's nonsense. I don't care what you look like.
Well, they're going to be fucking retarded because the IQ is going to the IQ always regresses to the mean. So you end up with a world filled with goddamn idiots.
I mean, I think that's the path of things already, considering who the country elected. But no, I really don't see how IQ is related to skin color in any way. That's nonsense.
Race is so much deeper than skin. To say that race is about skin, race is as much about skin as it is about the size of your nose or head or color of your hair. These are genes. We can't just say that it's about skin. It's not. It goes down to everything, like how tall you are, the color of your eyes.
Height does not matter to me. The same way that your skin color doesn't. Same way their eye color doesn't. I don't care what you look like, man.
let's move on. Before we get to our interview with the self-called Libertarian Lesbian, let's go ahead and get into Donald Trump.
We are never, ever, ever getting rid of Twitter.
We will make America great again. God bless you. I love you.
Because we are never, ever, ever, ever getting rid of Twitter.
All right, so the first tweet, if you don't know this game and what we do, basically I read off a tweet, Kelvin will give a comment, then Bryden will give off a comment, and we'll do that. And we do this every week. Donald Trump's Twitter feed is just absolutely glorious. But the first tweet, and this is my favorite one, I bleeping love this tweet right here. Happy New Year to all, including to my many enemies and those who have fought me and lost so badly that they just don't know what to do. Love. Kelvin, your comments on this?
I think it's immature, it's unpresidential, it's childish. I feel like there's many things you could have said to bring in the new year, but you didn't really have to say anything negative. So I didn't care for it.
Bryden?
I think if Hillary Clinton would have won and sent that tweet, there would be less crying about it from Kelvin, even though I know he doesn't like Hillary. I think that it's awesome, and I think that you're just going to have to deal with it there, dude. We won, and we won bigly. And, yeah, this is the way that the president is going to communicate with people. So get used to it. I'm sorry it's not. We're not going to give you hugs, okay? You fucking lost. Act better. And I don't know. I mean, I say fuck it. You know, there's been so much hate against Trump and against all of us that, you know, work together massively to get him elected that, you know what, fuck you. We're still doing a victory lap. Eat shit.
Next tweet, Russians are playing CNN and NBC News for such fools. Funny to watch. They don't even have a clue. Fox News totally gets it. Kelvin.
I mean, I don't know which case of Russia he's talking about this week, you know, if it's the hacks or whatnot, but I really don't understand why he's picking different news corporations to play as friends and other ones to play as enemies. I don't think that's something that a president should do. He should leave the news organizations alone. So, again, I just don't see how this is in the realm of what the president should be doing, good or bad. It just seems out of place.
Well, it absolutely is. It absolutely is out of place because things are changing, and the Lugenpresse can go fuck themselves because nobody works harder than CNN to shill for Hillary. So the thing is, he is telling them to go ahead and go fuck themselves because they're not needed anymore. No one trusts them. It's 6% of the U.S. population actually trusts the mainstream media. Sorry, dude, you're out. The old way of doing things is gone. This is what an actual revolution looks like. And, no more lying press. We're not doing that shit anymore. Things come from on high, from Mr. Trump himself. And I think that's a good thing that he's calling out these false news organizations. They're the real fake news. Liberty Essential isn't fake news. They're fake news. Fuck them.
We cannot continue to let Israel be treated with such total disdain and disrespect. They used to have a great friend in the U.S., but not anymore. The beginning of the end was the horrible Iran deal, and now this UN. Stay strong, Israel. January 20th is fast approaching, Kelvin.
I think, we've been long allies with Israel, and we've under President Obama, promised to give them, I believe it was $38 billion over the next 10 years. So that's $3.8 billion a year. So I think, our friendship with them is in clear display by our budget in which we allocate money to them that we don't have. But allowing them to continue to, run over their citizens, the Palestinians that live in their land, I think that's nonsense. I mean, you need to hold them accountable. Just because they're your friend don't mean you cannot call out the wrongs that they do. And honestly, I really don't see why they are our allies anyway, but I think we should hold them accountable. And, again, this isn't something new, as he's trying to say by his speech. Every president before us, Reagan included, George H.W., they've all done the same exact tactics before. So I don't see what he's crying foul about. This is nothing new.
I am obviously no fan of Israel. I agree with Kelvin on this. I don't know why they're supposedly our greatest ally, but I think it's a response to what's happening right now with Obama. He is doing this scorched earth policy before he leaves. He is throwing a temper tantrum, and that's one thing I don't really like about Trump. I understand you've got to advocate for Israel if you're ever going to have the office or whatever. Hopefully that changes. I'm not a big fan of Israel by any stretch of the imagination, but I think it's more of an attack on Obama than anybody else. And for whatever reason, people seem to really like Israel. I wonder why that is. Maybe it's all of this media telling us we got to care about Israel so much, but I wouldn't know.
I love Bryden's Jew impersonation. Doing my best to disregard the many inflammatory President O statements and roadblocks. Thought it was going to be a smooth transition. Not. Kelvin.
I don't understand how it's not a smooth transition. I mean, he's not denying him the right to the presidency like they do in some other countries. I mean, that's what we're known for, is smooth transitions. And there's no way that President Obama is just going to be like, nah, January 20th, that's not going to happen. So, again, Trump's just being over the top, as always, trying to make mountain out of a molehill, as usual, trying to get some ratings, get people to act crazy. I don't really see why he does this, but that's what he does. It's nothing new.
Well, it goes back to that scorched earth policy that Obama's trying to do. He's trying to destabilize the world stage right now with Israel and Russia so that Trump's job is harder when he comes to office. Obama's a snake. I have several things to say about him, but I'll just try to stay on topic. It's not a true smooth transition. It's a rocky transition right now, and that's because Trump ran on saying everything Obama did, I'm going to undo it. So his legacy, he's trying to protect it, and he's just throwing a tantrum. Now, I especially want to point out how awesome it was that he ended it with not. Like, whoa, what a fucking throwback from the 90s that was. What a baller guy. Getting me in with the nostalgia tip there, Mr. Trump.
The world was gloomy before I won. There was no hope. Now the market is up nearly 10%, and Christmas spending is over $1 trillion, Kelvin.
Yeah, I'm really glad that President-elect Trump decided to take credit for people going out to buy things for Christmas, because, they never do this any other year. So I'm glad he took complete responsibility for that. That was totally his doing. And, I mean, the market's been going up every year that Obama's been in office since the Great Recession. So, again, nothing new, but Trump wanted to put his stamp on it and take the win, even though he did nothing to add to it. I don't know. Trump just goes over my head sometimes.
Well, I'm absolutely sure that Trump goes over your head. I'm sure many things do. But Donald Trump tweeted that before this whole Israel thing and the Russia thing, where markets dropped. So we can thank Obama for that. To say that the president and his actions on the world stage don't have any effect shows just a total ignorance of how the world markets work. Yeah, it's a braggadocious tweet, but I mean that's what we've come to expect, and some of us have come to love about President-elect Trump.
Last tweet, then we'll go ahead and get to the Libertarian Lesbian. President Obama said that he thinks he would have won against me. He should say that, but I say no way. Jobs leaving, ISIS, Obamacare, etc., Kelvin.
Yeah, like I keep saying, I've said this for the past 3 or 4 weeks now. Hillary Clinton was the main reason that Trump won. And I say that because if Bernie Sanders would have won, or would have ran rather, then he definitely would have won. And I have no doubt that if President Obama would have ran, he would have won too, because his approval ratings right now are higher than any other president leaving office. And he swept the last 2 elections he was in, and he actually won the majority vote, the popular vote. So that's something that Trump can't even say now on his supposed win. So I have no doubt that Obama would have just mopped the floor with him. There's no question. Nobody questions Obama's integrity, but nobody, not anybody, can say that Trump was their first pick. Well, I'll say that for the most part. I don't know everybody, but most people were going for Carson or Rubio or Cruz even. But nobody's like, yo, let me pick Trump. That guy on TV I saw, that's who I want, that orange guy. No, nonsense, man.
Well, that's absolutely silly. Trump was my guy, and I campaigned for the guy, advocated for the guy, did everything I could within my power. Obviously, I'm just one guy. Now, the reason Obama's ratings, his approval ratings are so up is because he's black, and nobody wants to be seen as racist. They put those same things on display with Hillary Clinton, and people didn't like them. It's telling. We don't like these liberal, I guess, standard House Democrats policies. Now, Sanders, I don't know. That's a totally different debate. I still believe Donald Trump still would have won, but we're never going to know. Obama might have. There's no way he would have gotten a third wave of getting out all the black vote and shit like that, because it was decreasing, and he definitely wouldn't have won up ticket. Maybe he would have won the executive, but would have lost, in local elections, would have lost, all the governorships, and the House and Senate seats and things like that. I personally think Obama is a fucking Kenyan Muslim faggot. I really don't like him, and he's married to a tranny. But I mean, it's never going to be seen. And for Obama to say that, you want to talk about unpresidential? Trump's not the president; he's the president-elect. Obama is being unpresidential doing that, and it goes back to it actually being a rocky and rough transition. Obama is an asshole, and fuck him, and fuck his legacy, but he's not going away because he has a house in D.C. He's going to be popping up all over the place, spouting his stupid mouth off. I can't stand that guy. He's been the worst president since Carter.
And on that note, now joining us now is Latasia Horton, the self-labeled Libertarian Lesbian. We do appreciate you joining the show, Ms. Horton. She does have a podcast launching here soon. How are you doing tonight on New Year's Eve?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Absolutely, we could hear you. So,
awesome.
Hopping right into this, just because I'm extremely curious to see where you got this label. What is the story behind the label of quote-unquote Libertarian Lesbian? Why do you embrace that title so much?
Well, I actually looked for the domain name. It was really easy to register. I don't know if it's surprising or not, really, but I've always believed in kind of smaller government because I've never really trusted the government a lot. And I think it kind of started, the Ron Paul thing kind of started with me here. I just got caught up in the social issues because I thought it made me a better person, I feel like I've been brainwashed, honestly, by the liberal side of things. But after looking into it more,
we've had this we had this conversation before, and I like I told you then, I was brainwashed by the left as well. So I know how you feel. That's why I had to come over to the right. Now,
you're welcome.
Your change hasn't been your change hasn't been as drastic as mine, because I went from far left wing all the way to far right wing in a lot of different policies. You've gotten away from the left, but you kind of got right in the middle with the libertarian stance. So what made you start, because you are currently in that transition, what made you start the transition more from the left to the right?
Well, I know that libertarianism is supposed to be kind of in the middle, but I would consider myself more right-leaning. So I feel like I was in the middle because of the social issues were holding me back. But after learning about kind of the threat of socialism, and I didn't know how those social justice warriors, and the crazy feminazis, I guess you would say, I didn't realize how big of a threat they actually were. And I'm from Kentucky originally, okay, so I lived in Utah for 3 years. I didn't really know what a real liberal was until I moved out there. So when I started learning what that was, what those kids were learning in college, I was like, holy shit. And then I saw a podcast by Jordan Peterson, and he was a professor in Canada, and he was kind of talking about, he was bringing it all together for me, and I was like, this is terrifying, what this could become and what I've been involved in and didn't even know. I didn't even understand. I mean, there's no gay agenda necessarily. It's the liberal socialist agenda. It's very bizarre.
Oh my God, awesome. Okay, sorry, but yeah.
Kelvin?
Fuck yeah. No, she's a right-leaning libertarian there, but there's lefties like there's left libertarians like Gary Johnson, and then you can go as far right as like Hans Hermann Hoppe. So yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of where I was. I was kind of more left-leaning. I was for small government, fiscal responsibility, but now I'm like, get government out of everything. Just anything, I don't know, just as close to no government as you can get without anarchy. I mean, obviously, police need to be funded and military and everything like that, but it just needs to stay out of it for the most part. That's why I like libertarianism. So yeah, I think libertarians and conservatives, Republicans kind of are coming together now as far as the, free speech and things like that. It's really important.
Well, I had two questions for you. For the first one, you said you were from Kentucky originally. So with that in mind, did you support Rand Paul, or were you with Gary Johnson, or did you switch over at some point?
Well, I liked probably Gary Johnson was there, and this whole year has been a learning process. So it was kind of, more of the Gary Johnson. I'd kind of given up on everyone and the whole government thing. I was just like, fuck all of them. I don't trust anybody. And then I just wasn't getting involved in politics. But then in doing that, I was kind of being fed by the liberal side because I wasn't taking any action. So, yeah, I remember Rand Paul running. I think I'd already moved by then. I was living in Indiana for a few years. Utah. I actually just moved back to Kentucky a few days ago. So, yeah, Gary Johnson I was all about posting on Facebook and social media on them. All my liberal friends would get pissed, and I didn't stop. I mean, it was just crazy, but yeah.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because one of my good friends, he's a pretty staunch libertarian, and he was all about Rand Paul. I guess because of his dad, Ron, and then later Gary Johnson once Trump won the Republican nomination, So I thought that was an interesting question. But for my second question, well, I know that Republicans of today don't exactly push for smaller government that much with their insistence on regulating gay marriage and abortion and continually funding wars and conflicts in the Middle East. So with that in mind, do you ever resent how the term libertarian has kind of grown connection, in the American perspective at least, to Republicans?
No, because anytime, not even just liberals, but anytime someone wants to make someone seem quote-unquote bad and they want to compare them to someone they believe is bad, they're going to do it. They're going to make connections. They're going to make all the connections they need to. And, of course, they're going to say everybody that's libertarian and Republican is, racist or whatever.
Yes.
And they're always going to make those connections. It doesn't even matter what we say or what we do at that point. If they're not going to listen to us, then it doesn't matter. So no, that has nothing. That's not on the Republicans. That's not their fault, of course. It's just people making those connections really easily in the media and whatever they have to do.
It's the evil ideology of the left. Just say it. It's the evil ideology of the left. There are a bunch of evil people on the left. It's just a fact.
There are a lot. A lot.
Well, Miss Horton, I thank you for answering my questions, and I think Bryden has a few for you now.
Yeah, absolutely. So, regarding what type of libertarian you are, I mean, I'm sure these guys have only really, like, oh, Gary Johnson. To me, I'm like, he's a cock. He's the worst guy that should have ever run. McAfee should have gotten that nomination.
I see that now.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, regarding, this is just a strictly kind of libertarian question. Regarding physical removal of those that express socialist views, do you view that as a violation of the non-aggression principle? So let's say if somebody is trying to start some socialist revolution within a libertarian country, is it a violation of the NAP to physically remove them or, perhaps even exterminate them if it comes to that?
Initially I would say, unfortunately, yeah, it's violation. I'm still kind of trying to find my footing on what I believe. It's dangerous. it's a dangerous mindset to have, and I think it starts in the colleges, and I just think the professors know what they're doing. They know what they're feeding these kids, and we have to start there because, I mean, we're going to have to do something. I mean, we need to have some intellectual diversity in colleges because it's not there. So we need to take some kind of action, but physical removal. Yeah, the brainwashing, I mean, they're taking advantage of us basically not, because it's freedom of speech, you read whatever books you want to read, you have beliefs. If they don't interfere with anyone, then great. If they don't hurt anyone, great. But they're taking advantage of that completely. So, yeah, it would be hard to do any physical removal.
But they're not violating the non-aggression principle by going out and trying to start a communist revolution within, a free society?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. Absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, absolutely.
So I would think that
I don't know what we would do, but
if you violate the NAP, forceful removal or dropping them from helicopters, for fuck's sake, is totally justified under the NAP. So I would suggest you look into some HOPA and some more far-right libertarian things since you're trying to find your footing. Seriously, HOPPE, Hans Perman HOPA. If you have a Twitter, I'll get you on the Twitter. I'll get you on my show. We can talk about this.
Okay.
Yeah, and Latasia, well, before you continue, Bryden, speaking as a former lefty who went to the right, I'm telling you, Latasia, it's a lot more comfortable over here, and it's not as dark over here. Come to the right.
No, it is. Already.
Because the left is a place that you don't want to be in.
Absolutely. No, I'm here. I'm here and very comfortable with it, and I'm ready for all the hate that I'm going to receive. I don't care. I'm ready to take it. And I appreciate the information too on the because that's one of the questions that I had for myself even that I needed to work on, and I plan on getting. I have so many books on my Amazon wish list that I'm planning on getting now because I have a lot of research to do. And this is one of the things that you said, the HOPA, HOPPA, I'm going to look into because there needs to be something.
But yeah.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
You'll find it. And I'm sorry, my second question here had to do with what was the real trigger? I mean, you said you saw a college professor, something like that. But what was the real trigger? You had to have some little stirrings ahead of time. And it's funny that you mentioned that the gay agenda is a socialist agenda, which is absolutely true, and it made me fall in love with you instantly, even though I cannot stand lesbians. Can't stand them. I think
we can talk about
ridiculous.
that in a minute too. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think they're ridiculous. But you had to have some stirrings ahead of time, or was it just like all at once? Because some of the things that I have come up with to conclude to just popped into my head one day and was like, holy shit. And others, it was a stirring, and I found other people had already said them and was like, oh, I'm not crazy.
Yeah, same here. So a lot of it hit me like a ton of bricks, and some of it was just kind of realizing things. But the main thing was that before the election, I'm like, so we have a choice between these two people, and no one's happy about either. So there's obviously going to be some kind of uproar no matter who wins. And if people are pissed now, then they should be, protesting and rushing before the election even happens. But then something happened after the election, and then I saw everyone protesting and continue to protest. And I was like, what the hell are these guys doing? Are you serious? And you're not doing anything, by the way. The liberals were just standing in solidarity, which I fucking hate that word every time I hear it now because it doesn't mean anything at all. It's so stupid. So they just kept doing it. And I'm like, what is going on? So that's really what made me, that's really what made me kind of start looking into. I'm like, what are the podcasts then? What are the people? I need to learn. I'm going to listen to as Republican as I can find. I kind of started finding Dave Rubin was helpful during this. He's that good catalyst. Obviously he could be more right-leaning, but he needs to stay where he is because he helped move me from left to right officially. Oh, he is. And I'm definitely. And Steven Crowder, I love his stuff. And Gavin anybody on Rebel Media. Yeah. So all of those helped me. But, it was the fact that they protested after the election. I'm like, what are you guys mad about? You knew somebody was going to win out of these two. I was kind of pissed the whole time that we, didn't have a multi-party system. I mean, that's what I was talking about. I don't know how I fully believe about that now, but it is kind of crazy that we only essentially have the two people, and I don't know. But yeah, that was what it was. And
yeah, no. Sorry. One more question, then. I was just wondering, and what is Aleppo?
Aleppo.
That's a libertarian joke.
Oh
Come
yeah,
on,
from
Gary Johnson.
From Gary Johnson. Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah. What is Aleppo?
Okay.
Yeah. That really
Let me ask you though, Latasia, a completely random question for you, off of the libertarian stuff, off the lesbian stuff. Just a question to you as a former lefty: Black Lives Matter. It's bullshit. True or false?
Yeah. So with that, I went to one of those gatherings in Salt Lake, and it wasn't a real Black Lives Matter, obviously, because there aren't a lot of black people in Utah. But I ended up looking up more into it, and most of the cases that they claim, most of them aren't valid at all. There are only a few cases where it was actually, something weird happened, and all of those officers seem to have gotten prosecuted, not just laid off with pay or anything. I mean, a lot of them got, jail time and things like that. So yeah, I mean, it's like no one's looking into facts. I think somebody had said once, that facts are racist or something like that, and that seems to be what's going on. I mean, no one wants to hear the truth. The black.
I mean, that sounds like a typical leftist quote. I mean, that sounds like a typical leftist quote.
No, it does.
The facts are racist.
I think
stats is the bigotry. I mean, it's a bunch of nonsense stuff.
Yeah, it is. I mean, we need to be serious about like these allegations and stuff. I mean, it's not just about, and the media is playing right into it, of course. So they'll get views as soon as someone gets shot. They're like, oh, let's make a story out of it, and then that's before anything comes out, and then the truth comes out, and then they don't even retract it, and half of the people that are involved in the movement don't even know that most of the stories aren't even true. That the officer was acting in accordance with everything, and a lot of them don't even look into it to figure it out, and I was appalled. I mean, it's crazy how much we get lied to. I mean, not even lied to. People just don't look into things.
Yes. You have definitely been red-pilled, and you are on your way to the right. And I feel like a proud father right now over you, Latasia. I'm not going to lie, because you are making such a smart transition. I promise the right wing is going to be so much more spectacular for you. But Latasia Horton, the Libertarian Lesbian, go ahead and plug your show, your upcoming podcast, and we'll go ahead and get you out of here.
Okay, sounds good. Well, you can go on my website. I have a newsletter on there you can subscribe to. It's libertarianlesbian.com, and I'm going to premiere the show. I want to premiere it this month, but I'll have more updates on my Facebook. Instagram is Libertarian Lesbian. Twitter is Libertarian and LES. And yeah, sign up for the newsletter or just follow me on social media, and I'll just be updating as I go along.
Well, thanks for joining us, Latasia.
Yeah, no problem. And yeah, I totally, we'll have to have a conversation next time about the lesbian thing too, because I've said all those things about lesbians. So yeah, we'll have to get into that sometime.
Okay, I followed you on Twitter. Holy shit. Okay, this gal's good looking. Good Lord.
Yeah. That's
funny. My guys over at Newmany Essential follow you already anyway. Okay, no, you're well on your way. It's fine. My boys know you.
Yeah, liberals already hate me because I'm not ugly, so I'm already there.
No. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you joining the show, Ms. Horton.
All right, thanks, guys. Happy New Year. Have a good one.
All right,
bye-bye.
So, yes, ma'am. So what she brought up earlier, though, talking about the left with the universities and what the universities teach, Bryden, I want to ask your opinion on this. This is just full of nonsense. But what she is talking about, where at the University of Kansas, they're actually giving out, quote unquote, pronoun pins to let people choose their gender. If a man wants to be a woman, he can get a pin, put it on there, all of a sudden he's a woman. This is exactly what is going on. Kansas University libraries will now offer students, staff, visitors the choice of wearing these gender-inclusive buttons, identifying their preferred gender pronouns in order to help promote a quote-unquote, Bryden, a welcoming environment on campus.
Jesus Christ. Okay, you know what? I am absolutely in support of them wearing the whatever pins they like. Personally, I wish they were gold stars. That way we know who to round up, because that's fucking retarded. We don't need these people in society. That's fucking stupid, dude. Fuck them. I don't care. Also, I want to call it right now. I'm calling it right now because she's a hot lesbian. She's not going to be a lesbian eventually. Telling you, it's going to be fine. She's too good looking. Give it 13 years.
You might be right about this. You might be right about
it'll be, oh, dude,
I have
I'm
a
always
feeling
right.
that you're probably going to.
I'm always fucking right, dude. But, yeah, no, I you know what? Let them put all the pins on they want. Like, I thought it was fucking hilarious. Right after the election, they put on the safety pins and all that gay trend. Yeah, it's like they're self-identifying themselves right now. That's fine. Dude, really? I've got gold stars for all of them. That way they'll feel better. And then, yeah, we'll just know. We'll just know those are the ones. Just grab them, throw them in a train, and send them out to the camp. Because fuck them. They don't get to live here anymore. That's fine. Keep self-identifying. We already know when we see them walking around with like blue hair and shit. Like, oh, that one's crazy. Yeah, fuck them. Get them out of here. I don't care. Get them out. Out.
I'm curious to know what the big liberal Kelvin feels about
I mean, I really don't have much of an opinion on it. I feel like if you want to wear a pin that says you're a his or a her or whatever else you want to call yourself, I don't care. Doesn't really affect me. I don't think I would participate, but it doesn't affect me in the least. So, you know, there's that quote that goes, live and let live. I would say that applies here.
And it does. It does, absolutely. But, you know, like, what a gay little thing to do. Like, I in Olympia, Washington, several years back, I was doing a comedy thing, and do stand-up. And a guy came to me afterwards, and he goes, oh, yeah, hey, nice to meet you. Great set, man. What are your pronouns? And I laid into him. You know, don't you ever fucking ask me that again. Obviously, I'm a fucking guy. What the fuck is your problem? Like, and, you know, we talked afterwards, but he was like, okay, shit. Because that's retarded. That's retarded. If somebody is nice and they're a tranny, I'm friends with a tranny, okay? She's also a white nationalist. I say she because I'm just being polite. We both know that it's a he, and she will tell you, yes, I'm a dude. But it's nice to be polite and go, okay, I'm going to say it's a girl. You know, these pens, like, all it is it's trying to make everyone lose their identity entirely. They think that identity is somehow malleable, and it's somehow something that you can protest. It's like, well, I don't like this about myself, so I'm going to change it. Well, I'm sorry, whether you like it or not, you're part of a race, you're part of a gender, you're part of a heritage, and it's socialist. You know, like she said there, it's the socialist agenda, because even the word racist was invented by Leon Trotsky. So this whole pick your pronouns bullshit, you have to deal with the cards that you're dealt. That's it. I can't go to a blackjack table and go, hold on, this isn't 21. No, I identify these 2 3s as a 21. You know, you can't do that. It's fucking dumb. Like, I'm not saying life is fair. Life is hard. Life is tough. Life is nothing but strife. But Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I'm not, if I saw somebody wearing those pins, I would probably go out of my way to use their actual pronoun instead of, like, their gay little thing that they put on a pin. Because, I mean, how many of them are you going to get? Jesus Christ, change your shirt, you fucking hippie.
Well, I mean,
that's fucking dumb.
It goes further
than that. It's a waste of school money. It's a waste of school money.
Well, I absolutely agree with you. It's a waste of taxpayer money, absolutely. But it goes even further with the left. And I'm actually pretty left on this issue as far as prostitution is concerned. If you want to legalize it, cool, let's bring in that tax revenue. I don't have an issue with it. But the left is taking it to another extent that's just a bunch of lunacy. And Bryden, you're out in California, so let me ask you about this SB 1322, where it bars law enforcement arresting sex workers who are under the age of 18 for soliciting or engaging in prostitution or lording with the intent to do so. What the hell is that?
Well, like most of the progressive policies, I mean, it's going to take the progressives 10 years probably to come up with a party and a platform and things like that are going to work. But like most progressive policies, it's really, really not thinking the whole thing through. It comes from a good place. I mean, I will say, for the most part, the progressives, they come from a good place. They think this is a good thing. They're like, oh, we don't want to arrest these exploited children. But the thing is, all they're doing is now playing into the hands of these sex traffickers and pimps, because now they get to stay out on the street. They never really prosecuted these people anyway. They never were doing it. They were not like it's not like these people were these kids were forced into the situation and then they prosecuted them. Now they just can't pick them up off the street. So it's going to lead to more child abuse, and it comes from a good feeling in your heart, but it's not well thought out, like every fucking progressive policy that they try to push forward. Unfortunately, over here in California, we're overrun with fucking morons, and I can only hope that an earthquake kills us all, because I'm willing to go down with the ship if it means that California is no more.
Going even further on the left, going up to the elite of the left, people like George Soros. He slammed Donald Trump earlier this week. He called Donald Trump a con artist. He called him a would-be dictator. Said a bunch of other mean words about him. And I just want to give a friendly reminder to everybody as far as George Soros is concerned. This is the same guy who was responsible for a coup and mass murder in Ukraine. Same guy funding a race war and funding a terrorist organization, the Black Lives Matter. The same guy who funded a lifelong criminal corruption. So with put all that aside for a minute, Kelvin, I want to ask you, when George Soros calls Donald Trump a con artist and a would-be dictator, do you agree with that? Do you agree with your king lefty?
I mean, I wouldn't call him a king. I don't know why you think I worship all people that think like me.
Because you fall in line with the left.
No, I don't follow what the left does to find my opinion on things. I think that the problem through, and I find my own opinion. It just happens to be similar to what other people think. That's just how it is. But, I don't think there's such a thing as a moral absolutism in the fact that anything that this person that you deem as bad, that anything they say is bad as well. I think good things can come out of their mouths. I mean, I'm sure that if you look at even someone like Hitler or Stalin, he's universally depicted as bad, I mean, apart from maybe Russia. They would have some good things that they've said in their lifetime. There's no doubt. So I don't think that you can just discard everything he said right off the bat. That's nonsense. And I don't have any proof of Black Lives Matter being a terrorist organization. I don't have any proof of him funding mass murder in Ukraine. So I don't know how you can sit here and accuse him of that. I haven't seen anything in factual evidence that says he did any of that. So that's nonsense too. But yeah,
do you read, Kelvin? Do you read?
Yeah, actually, I was about to tell you what I read about him. Yeah,
it doesn't sound like it. It absolutely does not sound.
Well, no, what he said that even though Trump's rhetoric has been toned back, his behavior and his advisors have not been. And he further said that Trump will appease foreign dictators for his administration's success, which, I mean, arguably has already been proven through his interactions with Putin in Russia. So, I know you don't like him, but as far as success stories, he was a spitting image of it, dude. He was a spitting image.
What? Well, let me ask you this. Here's another lefty test for you. A report came out earlier this week. 8 years of Obama vacations cost the U.S. taxpayer $85 million. So are you going to defend that too?
Yeah, actually I can, because I looked this one up too, and I know you're not going to like this, but I got some actual facts for you here, okay? So Obama, in his 28 years, or excuse me, golly, I'm sorry, in his 8 years, he took 28 trips, totaling 217 days of vacation time. In the same 8 years, Bush took 88 trips, totaling 533 days of vacation time. But let me finish, okay? I'm not trying to demonize the Republicans for this, because Nancy Reagan said in the late 80s that presidents can't get away from the job like you and I can. She said, and I quote, "Presidents don't get vacations; they just get a change of scenery, so their job follows them." But here's another thing that I think is overlooked: the House of Representatives only met 126 days this year. That means they had 239 off days. The Senate, they met 156 times this year. That's 209 off days. So, I mean, really, if you look at strictly how many off days the House and the Senate, had this year, they've beat President Obama's 8-year total. They haven't beat Bush's 8-year total, but they have beat Obama's. So.
The House and the Senate,
right, Bryden,
definitely their job follows them as. Yeah, the House and the Senate, their job definitely follows them as well. I mean, just because they're not meeting, like they're doing things to be prepared for the meeting. It's not like they go in blind, So I don't really buy that.
That's questionable. That's questionable too.
Well, I mean, some of them, yeah, I agree. Some of them are shitty. I absolutely agree with that. But their job's supposed to follow them as well. It's a full-time job being a public servant on that level, absolutely. But
it's supposed to be, but they don't necessarily have to vote. They don't have to give their opinion, yes or no, to anything. They could vote in absentee.
Yeah, but you can't just go ahead and assume that they're evil. I mean, they don't get me wrong, they are.
Well, no. I'm just trying to show the perspective. I'm trying to show perspective as to how President Obama's off days really aren't that big a deal in comparison to his predecessors and other people in Washington.
Sure.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be if we're in a $20 trillion debt, though? That's like my only concern. Why are you taking millions of dollars in taxpayer money to go on these luxurious vacations when we're currently $20 trillion in debt? I'm just a bit concerned with that, and I hope you think that that's a valid concern.
Well, look,
I would agree with Kelvin on this. Actually, I'm not too concerned about that. Yeah, it's a bit much. It's not great, but you know what? I'm really not too concerned about it. I didn't like W, and I think that a fatal flaw that a lot of people have when they're debating.
So the taxpayers should have to struggle as a result, though? I'm just a bit confused that a president has the right to take a vacation, and the taxpayer struggles as a result. I'm a little bit concerned with that logic.
But you think that is the needle? Yeah, exactly. You think that's the needle in the camel's back that's really making this a financial disaster? You think that is it? When all the other things we waste money on.
I didn't say
that right there is the one.
I didn't say that, though. But I didn't say
that's what you're insinuating. That's what you're insinuating.
No, that's not what I'm insinuating. You're putting that in my mouth, but that's totally incorrect. That's not factual. We're running out of time, though. We'll be back next.
Hold on.
Make it quick. Make it quick, because we got to go.
Okay. Well, I expense stuff on my company accounts at every company that I work for. It's stuff like taking clients out to dinner and things like that. I'm still doing my job. I just happen to have a change of scenery. You're saying that it makes me not a valid employee? It's kind of the same thing. It's something we should look into, maybe tighten down on, but it really doesn't concern me.
We'll be back next week, same day, same time, same place, newmediacentral.net. Happy New Year's, everybody.
Newmediacentral.net. Newmediacentral.net.